With a show like The Walking Dead, which had an 11-season run with over 150 episodes, it's no surprise that many characters have come and gone throughout its lifespan. Many characters lost their fight for survival, some leaving more of an impact than others, paving the way for the rest of the group. One aspect of the many character deaths that I've always found interesting is the wide variety of characters who fans grew attached to, and the feeling that the show just wasn't the same after they died. For many, these deaths were their breaking point, the moment when they completely dropped the show. There doesn't seem to be a consensus on which characters' deaths ruined the show, which I think is a testament to just how good a lot of the early season survivors are as characters. Now, if you had to ask me, I don't know if I'd say any one character death ruined the show for me, but there are several clear turning points at those deaths. The death of Dale, and especially Herschel, were some of the most impactful to me because these two were hugely important moral compasses for the group amidst all the chaos. I would love to see how differently things could have played out if Frank Darabont wasn't fired, because we likely would have seen Dale as more of a series regular for a while longer. Dale was much more set in his beliefs than Herschel, who came to accept that in this new world you have to be willing to let go of some of your humanity to survive, so if I'm being real here, Dale might not have survived past season 4 either, but a man can dream. There are definitely some deaths which people point to more often as signs of the show's decline though, one of the biggest examples being Glenn's. Glenn honestly has one of my favorite arcs in the entire show, especially in seasons 5 and 6, in which we see him butting heads with Alexandria's designated scavengers, who clearly aren't fit for the job. Nick and his brothers are such easy characters to hate since they get a lot of people killed because of their cowardice, but despite everything they go through, Glenn never gives up on Nick. Even after Nick tries to kill him, Glenn still wants to help him, leading to his ironic downfall. Or would-be downfall? Yeah, I still don't believe this guy really could have survived that long underneath a tiny dumpster with hundreds of walkers surrounding him, but you know, plot convenience. Honestly though, even when Glenn was actually killed off, I could tell the tone was shifting because as much as I loved his character, it kind of felt like the right time for him to go. Though I think it would have been better if he actually died at the dumpster instead, because it makes that whole episode much less tragic and impactful knowing that he actually survived that incident. This show really got worse after Morales left. Yo, what the hell? There are some deaths that are impactful in different ways though, characters that leave with tons of missed potential. One that'll always frustrate me is T-Dog. This guy is one of the nicest characters who seems really cool, and yet despite the fact he's around for 2.5 seasons, it feels like he's around for half of one at best. It feels like they had some plans for him, but instead he gets shafted, being given barely any speaking lines or anything to do in the story. Maybe I'm crazy, but if they let him cook, I think T-Dog could have lasted the whole series and have become a much more important and fan favorite character overall. Two more irritating examples of this are Beth and Noah, who are kind of just around at first. Beth does basically nothing until the prison arc, but suddenly she's becoming an interesting character, one who I was beginning to like a lot more than Maggie. But before that could develop any further, the rug is pulled from beneath her feet and then she's killed off in one of the stupidest ways in the entire show. Whoopsies, my fault, gang. Noah isn't around nearly as long, so I can't say he's as impactful, but I still liked him. I found myself kind of relating to his struggle of fitting in with the group and then with Alexandria. It's really annoying how in the same episode when it's revealed that he's interested in learning how Reg built the walls for Alexandria, he dies. By far the most frustrating death to me, and the one that made me understand the whole "this death was why I stopped watching" mentality, was Carl's. Yet again, another example of a character who was killed too soon. Carl was meant to have a pretty big role in season 9, which if you didn't know ended up being handed over to Henry. He was done so dirty with his death as well, like Carl knows how to take care of himself. He's shown being overpowered by 2 zombies, yes, but my man was carrying around a gun which he can suddenly easily pull out the moment he's been bitten. Not to mention the plot mandated stupidity where he's running right in front of a zombie who pushes him down to begin with. Funny how characters are only this stupid when the plot calls for it. Thank you, Scott Gimple, very cool. They sorta try to fill in his shoes later on with Judith, but I think it would have been a whole lot more fun and interesting if Carl did survive and we got to see a different side of both Carl and Judith. A new Carl who's more protective of his little sister would have been a sweet direction to take his character in. There's a lot of ways they could have gone with him. Hell, if Andrew Lincoln still wanted out, Carl could have become a new leader. Don't get me wrong, I think he'd have some difficulties leading the show, but to show him actually being able to work to make his vision for the future a reality, only to find out he has has a new set of troubles and insecurities on that path to leadership, uniting the communities and ultimately filling in his father's shoes would have been great. The only positive to this whole situation being how much of an impact Carl's death left on the show, arguably being one of the biggest next to Rick's departure. I can't blame anyone for dropping the show at any of these points, and though I'll always feel a little bitter about the untapped potential and some of the characters that were killed too soon, I feel that The Walking Dead has almost always made up for it soon after. Carl may have died, but the season to follow was by far one of my absolute favorites. I don't know though, these are just my scattered thoughts, so what do you all think about this? Which character deaths do you think were the most impactful? Let me know in the comments. I'm new to making videos on TV shows, so I hope you enjoy what I make, as I'll most likely just be covering The Walking Dead content whenever I have a new idea. So thank you all for sticking around to the end of this video, and I hope to see you all again soon. Later!